Will the Breen beat Discovery to the Progenitors technology? 10 new promo photos to check out. And discussion about the two-part series finale. All of that coming up. Hey everyone, I'm Nick and welcome back to Sci-Fanatics. Well, today we're talking about episode 9, the second last episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 5 and the entire series, which is entitled Lagrange Point. Today we're checking out the promo photos from this week's episode. If you don't know what a Lagrange Point is, I did a video on that just the other day and also had a look at the sneak peek scene from this week's upcoming episode. If you haven't checked that out yet, click up here and that will take you to that video. You can have a look at that. But today we're going to go through all these promo shots. There's about 10 or so photos to have a look at from the new episode. And I believe this 9th episode of Discovery is essentially like a two-part series finale. So episodes 9 and 10, from what I understand, is basically like one big two-part episode to wrap up the whole show. First up, let's have a read through this synopsis for this week's episode and see what the plot is going to be about, which reads as follows. After Mole and the Breen capture a mysterious structure that contains the Progenitor's power, Captain Burnham must lead a covert mission to retrieve it before the Breen figure out how to use it. I gotta say, I was a bit surprised last week when Burnham just literally handed over all of the puzzle pieces to the Breen, gave them the map of where the stuff was hidden. I know that the library archive was under threat, but considering the amount of effort it's taken them to get those puzzle pieces and assemble the location to the technical data from the Progenitors, just handing it over and hoping that they aren't going to unlock it, I think is pretty risky. Considering Burnham has a track record of these sorts of things where she'll say, oh, let's just let Mole and Lark go, and then we'll say track them with their warp signature in the first episode. And then the second they went to warp, they launched all those warp probes or whatever to disguise their path. So Burnham has kind of got this thing where she just lets people go with the hope of having one plan of hers kind of work out, and then it all goes pear-shaped for her, and then she has to scramble to come up with another solution. So let's have a look at these photos and see what they're all about. First up, we've got a shot on the Breen Dreadnought ship here on the, I guess this would be the main control station there, and two Breen officers are standing at the controls, one armed with a phaser. Here's a shot of Mole and another Breen officer. Obviously, she took down Priarch Rune in the last episode, so she's, I guess, cementing herself as a leader amongst the Breen, which to me kind of happened a bit too quickly and a bit too easily, but we'll see how that progresses in the next episode. President Rillak in this shot. We haven't really seen too much of President Rillak this season, so I'm guessing she's going to be making more of an appearance in these last two episodes. And speaking of an absence, we finally get Saru back in this episode. He's been definitely absent in the last few episodes, which is kind of a shame considering the show is in its very last season. I know Doug Jones had to go off and do some publicity for, I think it was Hocus Pocus 2, the film he appeared in, and had to be absent from a few episodes in the middle of the season, but yeah, based on the fact that this is our very last season of the show, which I suppose they didn't know that at the time, it's a shame that he's been quite absent this season. Shot of President Taruna here. Hopefully before the end of the season we're going to be getting the wedding between Saru and Taruna. I'm guessing that'll be in the end of the last episode of the season. Surely with all the planning that's been going on between her and Saru, we'll be getting that before the season concludes. But for now, I'm sure the negotiations and her appearance in this episode is all wrapped up in the Breen and making sure that they don't get hold of the Progenitors tech and working with Discovery. Here's a shot in engineering showing Adira and Stamets talking about something there. Down on the bottom right-hand corner of frame, we see that bag of engineering tools and everything, which we saw Reno carrying around and doing stuff with in a previous episode. So it looks like they're featuring that little kit again. Another shot in engineering, this time with Captain Burnham. She's looking a little bit concerned, I guess you'd say. Whether handing over all of the puzzle pieces to the Breen and giving them the location to the final technology has gone south for her, we shall soon see, I suppose. Here's a shot of Stamets in engineering with his fingers in the spore drive controls there. We don't really get to see Stamets operating the spore drive much like this. We used to see him do this quite regularly, but in the last couple of seasons, we see the ship going into the Spore mycelial network and everything, but you don't kind of see Stamets hooking himself up to it like he used to do in previous seasons. Again, in engineering, this time we have obviously Adira on the engineering console there in the foreground, right of frame, again with the bunch of engineering tools on the desk there we mentioned earlier. But this time we've also got Book involved in some engineering activities. He's on the console in the background there, working on something as well. And we've also got a bit of smoke or steam and everything rising up in engineering engineering. So whether they're under attack or whether there's some sort of technical issue that they're having to rectify in engineering seems probably likely based on this shot. Our only shot on the bridge of Discovery amongst our promo photos here, we've got Rayner, obviously in command of the Discovery, no doubt, whilst Burnham is off doing something else off the ship. Book's in the background there. He's overseeing something, and one of our new nameless and no doubt forgettable bridge crew members that have zero development. They're taking the ops console. Bit of a shame we haven't got more Detmer and Oo in this season, considering how it's the last season as well. No doubt they were off working on some other projects as well, hence their lack of involvement this season. But no doubt they'll be back for the finale and all the big farewells and goodbyes at the end there. They're not really giving too much away in this ninth episode. Most of our promo photos here are just of our regular cast members, which is kind of a little bit disappointing. I thought we might see a little bit of imagery and so forth that takes us beyond just headshots of the cast. So whether this means there's going to be some sort of big reveal or something that's, they're trying to keep very much, to their chest and don't want to let the main visual details from the episode out there remains to be seen. But yeah, normally when they just release essentially photos of the cast, which, let's face it, could have been taken from any single episode over the entire season, it doesn't really give you that greater insight into what's coming up, So whether that means there's something a little bit more special in store for us for this episode that they're keeping very much under wraps. It was kind of a little bit like this when we had that episode a couple of episodes ago, the one that took place on board the ISS Enterprise, where all of the big reveal for the Breen, the fact that the Breen were coming back, we're going to see on board a Breen ship, we're going to get a look at what the Breen looked like and everything underneath their helmets. All of that stuff was kept very, very, very hidden, and we didn't actually get any of that until the episode hit. Obviously, that was all very secretive. And the fact that there is so many just regular cast headshots amongst these promo photos leads me to believe, are we up for something, maybe a little bit similar in this upcoming episode? So we'll wait and see whether that pans out or not. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Fanatics yet, please be sure to do so. Click on that big subscribe button to stay current and up to date with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. And be sure to check out all my merch in the merch store. Plenty of cool t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps, all my designs and everything. Always very reasonable discount prices. Check them out, pick yourself up a bargain and help support the channel at the same time. I'll be back on Thursday for my review of episode 9, Lagrange Point. I'll see you guys then.